Halloween Horror Nights. Let's face it, it's the most wonderful time of the year. But like anything in life, mistakes happen, and nothing is truly ever perfect. With that said, this is Drew from Orlando United, and I'm here to tell you 8 things that Universal wants you to forget about Halloween Horror Nights. Number 8. The Waiting Dead. Over the summer, much to the chagrin of fans, Universal announced that The Walking Dead would be coming back for the 4th consecutive year at Halloween Horror Nights. Many thought that it would go out on a high note, as last year's house was generally well received and was at the time the largest house in Halloween Horror Nights history. So how was the 2015 edition going to top that? One of the points of emphasis that kept getting mentioned was the food bank scene. If you don't follow the show, the group stumbled across the flooded food bank. Within that flood was, you guessed it, zombies. So naturally, this was something that the creative team wanted to try and recreate. We'll give props for trying to do something completely new, but man oh man did it fall flat. The end result is 2 actors hanging out in kiddie jacuzzis. A few times through, they were even unoccupied. But don't worry, even if you missed it, you'll still smell the chlorine. Number 7. The Terra Queen. Unless you attended Halloween Horror Nights 15, chances are you don't know who the Terra Queen is. And chances are, if you're a newer fan of this event, it was before you could legally raise a blinky cup. So who's the Terra Queen, you ask? She was a bike-riding demon queen and all-around badass who feasted on bloodberry wine, aka blood. She drank blood, just 'cause she could. The actual story of Halloween Horror Nights 15 was centered around her. However, marketing went in a completely different direction and showcased the storyteller as the main focus of all the advertising of that year's event. This is one of the first prime examples of marketing overriding creative. Number 6. Bloody Mary. Unlike most of the things on this countdown, there's not a lot of negatives to say about Bloody Mary. The problem here lies within licensing. Bloody Mary, surprisingly to most, is actually an owned copyright. So much like Universal does today with companies such as AMC to bring The Walking Dead to Halloween Horror Nights, they had to work with an outside party to bring Bloody Mary into Halloween Horror Nights 18 as the icon of the event. And as a result of this, we don't see her in any merchandise or even in the Icon Scare Zone this year. Which is honestly quite sad because to most fans, Bloody Mary is the end of an era. She was the last icon to get a completely immersive backstory as well as an interactive website. And of course, 2008 resulted in the birth of the legendary Truth. But much like her house Reflections of Fear, it's just something we'll have to live with the disappointment with and just move on from. Number 5. Death Drums. Heading into Halloween Horror Nights 25, there was a lot of concern amongst fans about the congestion that might show up in the Mel's Drive-In area due to the Carnage Return stage show. If you attended Halloween Horror Nights 21, you would know that those concerns were completely justified. Death Drums was a moving street show. Think of today's Beat Builders plus a Superstar Parade, but on a much smaller scale. Universal wasn't shy to parades in the past at Halloween Horror Nights. Halloween Horror Nights 10 featured the Festival of the Dead Parade, which was very similar to the annual Mardi Gras parades. The only problem is, like with most things in life, the event has evolved and gotten larger and larger every single year. Crowds today make it absolutely impossible to replicate what the parade once did. But that didn't stop creative from trying something on a much smaller scale. In the end, Death Drums just resulted in a ton of headaches between all the banging and all the congestion. Number 4. Fear. So the 20th anniversary of Halloween Horror Nights rolls around. And instead of just bringing back Jack and the other icons, the creative team decides to go in a new direction. It is revealed that Fear himself will be the icon of Halloween Horror Nights 20. Fear basically becomes a mishmash of all the things that made each individual icon into a great one. The only problem with that is that it actually gave Fear no room to grow as an individual for himself. Besides his intimidating look, there really wasn't quite much about Fear that made him unique to the Horror Nights spectrum. At this year's 25th anniversary event, in the Icon Scare Zone, which features plenty of nods to past characters, there is not a single reference to Fear. Sad, but true. Number 3. Rat Run. When you think of Halloween Horror Nights, a few things come to mind. IPs, theming, immersive environments, sound effects. Rat Run did not feature any one of those things. Situated in the Boneyard, or as we've come to know it today, the Universal Music Plaza, Rat Run was literally a giant maze of chain link fences. That's all it was. This is what people paid for back in the day. Oddly enough, those ridiculously long queues that we see there today are more or less the exact same thing. Number 2, Al Roker. One of the great things about Bill and Ted is that it features so many different celebrities from so many different types of media. There was no year where this was more evident than 2012. Over the years, there may not have been anything as shocking and head-scratching as the involvement of NBC weatherman Al Roker. And man, oh man, have there been some interesting choices of characters in this show. Every year there's some sort of cliche plot twist at the end of the show. However, in one of the more baffling finales of the show, it was revealed on the video screen that NBC weatherman Al Roker was this year's villain. The entire thing made literally no sense, and then the entire cast breaks out into its routine dance finale. To this day, I am still not entirely sure of what transpired in that show. Also, honorable mention to Captain Mexico. Number 1, 2012. Nope, not the John Cusack movie. Following up Halloween Horror Nights 21 was going to be no easy task. With the addition of the Superstar Parade, as well as construction on Diagon Alley, the design team was already faced with enormous challenges to try and make this event work. Throw in a few last-minute curveballs. Thanks a lot, Optimus. And what does that leave you with? The most forgettable Halloween Horror Nights of the modern era. Halloween Horror Nights 22 was also the turning of the page in the way that the event is run. It was the first event in over a decade where there was no icon to base the advertising campaign around. In turn, Universal centered the event around intellectual properties for the first time. The problem with that is that it was probably the weakest lineup of IPs that we've ever seen. It was also the first year of The Walking Dead, a fan favorite. And to put the cherry on top, it also featured one of the worst renditions of Bill and Ted's excellent Halloween adventure. Halloween Horror Nights 22 is an event that will live in infamy amongst Horror Nights fans. I hope you enjoyed our walkthrough of some of the swings and misses of Halloween Horror Nights past. I should note that for every swing and a miss, there is at least 5 home runs by the creative team. With that said, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up down below. If you're not subscribed, please do so. What do you want to see? Leave us a comment and let us know. Until next time, be excellent to each other and take care.